idea for the show.
I still don't know what the idea is.
It's about nothing.
Right.
Everybody's doing something. We'll do nothing.
They say, what's your show about? I say nothing.
There you go.
I think you may have something here.
Cross Coast Spice presents the League About Nothing podcast.
All right, everybody, welcome back. We have our Week 6 recap. Another wonderful week of NFL football. Another exciting week of seeing the exact same teams score over the median. And not so exciting on the trade front. Al, how are you?
I made it. I'm here.
You made it. You made it. That's the least complaining you've done to open a show in weeks. We must be moving in the right direction. We've got a relatively quick moving show today. We had only one trade. League median score this week was 191.22. We'll get to the matchups in a few minutes, but we've got a couple of waivers to discuss before we get into all that. The big name on the waiver wire this week was Xavier Hutchinson. Yep, that's the status of the free agent wire these days.
No big surprise. He had 2 touchdowns last week.
Yeah, it wasn't shocking that he was claimed. It was, when someone pops up scoring touchdowns like that, you have to put him on a roster. I mean, we have deep enough rosters that it's, justifiable to roster pretty much anyone you feel like.
Anyone that scores a touchdown in any week will then be rostered after that if they weren't already.
The funny thing was
the rule of this free agents.
The funny thing was Hutchinson went for $23 to Flea's team. There was several other bids, but he was on bye this week. So she doesn't even get to have the player this week, even though she won the bid. So Hutchinson and the Texans will be back for week 7 at least, and hopefully he does something for her then. But Flea won the bidding at $23. Mr. Good News was second at 21, so a pretty close one on that. And then Georgia Mike, Judd, and Al all bid 11, 10, and $0. You were very close.
My standard $0 bid on every player.
Bid 0 on everyone. It doesn't count. But $23 is almost a quarter of the yearly budget. That's a good chunk of change to spend on Hutch. I mean, he's only 25, so he's been around. I think this is his 3rd year, so he's been around a little bit, but he hasn't really done a whole heck of a lot.
We've seen this song and dance with Hutchinson. There's a reason he got cut in the first place. Is because he plays a lot of snaps. He just doesn't do much with them, and he hasn't ever in his entire career. He seems to absorb a lot of snaps, but not a lot of production that follows. He did spike a random 2 touchdown game as soon as he got dropped, because of course that would happen. But I wouldn't expect a huge role for him going forward. The Texans have been rotating 7 different receivers.
Right. It's a very crowded room right now.
And the passing game is not exactly prolific outside of last week. So, yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a roster because he is out there for a lot of snaps and he runs a lot of routes and he's going to get some targets. And anybody who does anything, warm body at this point, is useful on the waiver wire. It's not a lot out there, as we cover every week when we look at the waivers and go, there's nothing to pick up this week.
Yeah. The other names that were claimed on the Wednesday morning waiver run, I picked up Amar Johnson and Samaje Perine. You picked up Naeem Hines and Elijah Mitchell, and Flinch picked up Josh Reynolds. So really not a whole lot going on there.
Exactly.
All of those players combined, I think, cost like $4 or something like that. It wasn't a whole lot else to talk about.
And all of them combined, and for 0 points, no impact.
Yeah, right.
The 2 players I picked up are not even on my roster. I don't even think they made it to the weekend.
That happens like every week with you. I don't even count that. Hey, Perine had 6.7 points. That's solid off of the waiver wire for a running back.
Right. We'll take it.
All right. That's about it for waivers there. We had one trade after last week's flurry of 9 or 10, however you want to count that. This one was a Sunday morning trade too. Came in at the last minute between Big and Mr. Good News. Big picked up Bam Knight and Hassan Haskins, In exchange, Mr. Good News picked up a 2027 fifth round pick attached to JMC's roster.
Yeah, it was
This is,
right around the time where reporting was coming out that these two guys would be the starters,
yep.
injury fill-in starters for the week, which of course turned out to be lies.
Well, 50% lies. I mean, Bam technically didn't start, but he got more work and did more with it.
He
Like he
scored a
didn't
touchdown,
get the
so
first snap. No, so he's technically not the starter, but I don't know. I'd rather have my guy get more work than get the first snap. Yeah, this is pretty straightforward here. Mr. Good News just churning bottom of roster guys for lottery ticket picks.
as he should be.
Yep. And big, one of the better teams competing, just adding some depth. He's dealing with a decent number of injuries right now, so a little bit of added depth helps.
Yeah, it made a lot of sense. Trade some short-term assets, guys that are not going to have value beyond, well, maybe not beyond this trade for some of them.
Well,
To get something in return, even a 27 fifth is worth more than nothing.
yeah.
And for Big, he took a shot that these guys could be fill-in guys for a couple of weeks here as he
Well,
deals with injuries.
he hit
Didn't work
50%
out
on
with
him.
Haskins. Right. For the low price of a future fifth, it was definitely worth a gamble. I'm
Well,
surprised that he got them that cheaply and that no one else was really involved in the bidding. I know that I woke up to a trade offer that I had missed for Bam or Haskins, but yeah, I was too late to the party because I was sleeping.
how dare you? It's
Big
a
never
problem with
sleeps.
being out there on the West Coast.
Big never sleeps. We know that.
It's fair. He and I talk at all hours of the day. I mean, good morning. I always say good morning to Criddle half the time. So that's the only trade. I don't know if we've just hit a lull, if we've temporarily traded ourselves out of assets for the moment. We'll see what goes down over the coming weeks, but I think it'll be up and down on the trade market.
Yeah, I think we ran out of gas a little bit here.
Yeah. Let's move over and get to the matchups as quickly as we've pretty much ever gotten to the matchups before. Our league median score this week, as I said, was 191.22. Kind of breaks the up and down, back and forth that we've had over the course of the season, where it was down at 180, then up at 210 or 220. Last week was a little bit down. This week was a little bit down. We're getting into the bye weeks now, so there's a few more teams missing, and that's more likely to happen for a few weeks coming up, I'd say. Our highest scoring team this week was Mel, the commissioner. Mel put up a 266.95. That's a good week right there. He faced off against Criddle, who put up a 121.02. That's not a good week there. Criddle was the number 9 scorer this week.
Not a lot of doubt in this matchup.
No. On Mel's side of things, 2 players over 30 points. He had Rico Dowdle continuing his reign of terror with 36.4. And George Pickens, who is just probably loving the fact that CeeDee Lamb is not there right now, put up a 37.05.
I think he's loving playing with a competent quarterback.
Yep, that probably helps. Dak a
Seems to
little
be
bit better than
enjoying
Mason Rudolph.
Slightly better.
On Criddle's side of things, only 1 player over 20 points this week. That was Jalen Hurts. Go Giants. The rest of the team a little bit disappointing. A couple players in the teens, but a lot of single digits in the lineup. I think we're seeing the result of Criddle having sold off a few pieces.
Yeah, we've talked about his team now for the last couple of weeks, and unfortunately, he had a couple of guys on bye. He doesn't have a lot of depth to begin with. Some of his guys that got off to hard starts, like Juwan Johnson, have kind of slowed the last couple of weeks. So starting to have a little more cracks in the armor. I mean, it wasn't a very good armor to begin with.
Well put. Unfortunately. All right, on Mel's side of things, a good number of players over 20 points here. Jamar Chase, 29 points. DeAndre Swift, 27.5. Zach Ertz and Travis Kelce, both in the 21 range. A good week for Mel's team. This is a big boom performance that we haven't really seen too much of from his team yet this year, but obviously he's capable of it. I think he had one other week up in this range, but 266 is a ceiling game.
Yeah, and he did it without really any quarterback help. I mean,
Right.
Josh Allen only had 13 points and nobody else did anything.
Yeah, his quarterbacks were pretty disappointing this week. Uh, Justin Fields in specific, 0.65 points. Yikes.
Yeah, not great. Negative net passing yards
Right.
is kind of difficult to do with that many pass attempts. 9 sacks and 9 completions will do that though.
I mean, that many pass attempts. He only had 17.
Well, he got sacked 9 times, so that was
Right.
9 more dropbacks that they tried
That,
and just
fair.
didn't work out.
Yeah, that was an ugly, ugly game. I didn't realize it. I'm in one survivor pool with Mel actually, and I picked the Denver Broncos this week, and thank goodness I forgot about that because I would have been sweating that game out. And then I just kind of, like I woke up. I work nights, so I'm waking up somewhat late. I woke up halfway through that game, and I looked, and I'm like, oh, what an ugly game. And then I looked afterwards. After the game was over, when the 1 o'clock games, 1 o'clock Eastern, I should say, were about to start, I went and looked at my survivor pool. I was like, oh, yeah, who did I pick this week? And I was like, oh, my God, I picked Denver.
I feel bad for the for the European continent because
Oh, God, how
the
many
product
times
that
have we
we
said that?
continue to send over there is just abysmal every time. I don't understand. We just pick the worst possible, and the Broncos haven't been bad, but they were awful this week too.
That was ugly. I
I mean,
don't.
it was a terrible combined effort by both of these teams. We need to just can these European games. I don't know, man, jet lag or something. These players just not having a good time over there.
Every game over there is just ugly. When they inevitably put a team over there, it's or whatever two teams like it's gonna just be an awful product every week.
It's going to be the best home field advantage anyone
That's
has.
true as well. So a big week for Mel's team. Like you said, done without the quarterbacks really putting up any significance points. So if he got, let's just say he had two quarterbacks at 20 points, not a terribly unusual week when you have guys like Josh Allen in there. He would have scored an extra, I don't know, 15 points. He would have been up in the 282 range. That would have been a really impressive week.
Yeah, it just means he had a lot of points from a lot of players this week.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of bounce back games. Zach Ertz had a 0 last week, put up 21 this week. We saw another ceiling game from Chase here, almost 30 points. Swift finally had a big breakout performance. They scaled back his workload a little bit.
He actually
He ended
looked
up by
good.
responding with much more efficiency, put up 27 points, And I mean, having Rico Dowdle is basically an automatic win at this point. So
So good. All right. A couple of injuries to note in this matchup. On Criddle's side of things, Josh Palmer hurt his ankle in the Bills game. He left, did not come back. Pretty awkward tackle. It was almost like a horse collar, but wasn't actually a horse collar. And then I'm surprised it came through as an ankle. It didn't look like he hurt his ankle on the play.
yeah, I think they announced it ankle and knee. So he kind of got twisted up.
Right.
I think that they're on a bye this week coming up, so we're probably not going to know very much for a while.
Yeah, they don't
For
have to
at least
release
until
any
next week.
information.
Right. But I would not be surprised if he missed more time than just the bye week.
One other injury of note in this one on Mel's side of things, DJ Moore hurt his groin, is listed as day to day, spent the night overnight in the hospital, didn't come out of the game, didn't miss more than like one snap.
Yeah, very interesting, peculiar reporting on this one.
A lot going on there.
They didn't really announce any injury during the game, and he didn't miss any snaps. I mean, he played, I think, maybe 2 less snaps than Caleb Williams played, so he was out there the whole time. They didn't announce any injury after the game. We found out later from some other reporting that he was staying behind and not traveling with the team, and turns out he was in the hospital overnight. And Ben Johnson had some really cryptic talks about it today, saying it was a personal injury that he wasn't going to provide any details on. So he did say it was a groin area, so you can probably assume what happened. It was not very pleasant.
Yeah, whatever it is, I hope he's all right because that sounds terrible.
Yeah, I'm cringing just thinking about it, what it probably was.
Yeah, it would be interesting. He's like I said, he's listed as day to day, or the update was day to day. So who knows if he'll miss any time? He, he plays all their snaps. So if he does miss time, it'll be interesting to see how they split it up.
It's going to be more targets for Zacchaeus.
Whew, that was a performance, right? Let's move on. All right. Our next highest scoring team was your team. This is why you were in a good mood. You were the number two scoring team this week. You put up a 245.83, and you beat JMC, who was the eighth highest scoring team. JMC put up a 164.3. Bit more points than he's been putting up lately, actually, on JMC's side of things.
Yeah, he actually had a pretty good week. I mean, by his roster standards, this I think was his best week of the year. Got a big spike from HN. We'll go through the high scores right now, but
Yeah. All right. So players over 30 points. Achan, as you just mentioned, with a 32.5. On your side of things, Cam Scadaboo with a 33 even, and Dallas Goddard with a 35.25, his best game of the year.
yeah, well, we all know that historically the Giants have never been able to cover tight ends, so not surprising that
Fair point.
Goddard would finally spike a week against them.
Yeah. On your side of things, a bunch of players over 20 points as well. Dak Prescott, Kendrick Bourne with a 22.45, and Fannin, Harold Fannin again, 21.85. On JMC side of things, the only other player over 20 points was Jackson Dart with a 24.6.
Yeah, big
So
week from a couple of guys. Fannin, I think, may have been a little bit injury related. We need to talk about Njoku.
yeah, you have a bunch of injuries we've got to get to in a second, but let's talk about the good part of the team first. That's a ceiling performance from Scadabo right there. 3 touchdowns. I don't know how many 33-point days you're getting out of him.
I mean, if he scores 3 touchdowns every week.
Yep. That's a big if. I'm going to say that's probably not super likely. It's impressive that this is a miniature version of what we always saw with Flinch's roster and Lamar and Henry going off at the same time, because Scadaboo had 33, and on the other side of the matchup, Dart had 24. Two
Yeah,
good games on the same team where the points were not complementary.
right. Well, they got a lot of goal to go from the 1 yard line, so it was a lot of easy touchdowns for Cam this week.
For the first time in a while, the New York vibes are a lot of fun.
Yeah, these two especially are fun together.
A decent game from Evan Engram and Kate Otten for you in the flex spots. Nice to see that tight end depth playing out.
Yeah, I needed him this week. I didn't get a lot of points from my receivers, so tight ends filled the space for me nicely. Thankfully. Not that I really needed it in this matchup. JMC's got a lot of holes in the roster still. So I didn't need a huge performance this week, but it's still nice to see those guys put up some points finally.
It's always good when you have that depth and you get a decent week out of it. It's satisfying, even in a way that sometimes the big scores aren't. However, I have a question for you. If I told you that Kendrick Bourne would have half the receptions that he had the week before, would you have expected him to put up the same 142 yards again? He did it on 10 catches last week, and he did it on 5 catches this week.
The 49ers offense is a meat grinder. They have nobody. And the guys they have out there are playing with the laundry list of injuries because they need healthy bodies out there. I know we're going to talk about Juwan later, but Bourne with another spike week back to back, they really have no one else to throw to.
Yeah, he's out there getting all the snaps and all the work because he's the only one who can catch, apparently.
Right. I'm glad that he's been productive, and I certainly needed him. Nice to see him step up and fill a hole in the lineup. I've got some guys out on guys on bye, guys injured. So
Yeah, hole in
nice when
their
you
lineup
can,
and yours.
yeah, nice when you can dig deep on your bench and pull a guy like Kendrick Bourne, both for the 49ers and for myself.
On JMC's side of things, he got a couple of decent games from players that we really haven't seen a ton of in the lineup. Like Ray Davis caught or not caught, I ran for a rogue touch, or actually it
Yeah,
was
he
a
caught a
catch, wasn't
touchdown.
it? Yeah, caught a rogue touchdown. Josh Downs another touchdown.
Yeah, Ray Davis was out there for 2 snaps this game, and he
Yep,
had 2 catches and a touchdown.
they don't seem to throw to Cook as much as they used to.
Well, it's usually Ty Johnson that handled a lot of the passing down snaps, hurry up 2 minute, third
Right.
down. And he still does that, but we haven't seen as much for Cook on early downs like he was getting previously, which is surprising considering the state of their receiving core that they don't make it more of a point of emphasis because he's been effective as a receiver.
Right. He's been good when they've used him that way.
Yeah, we just haven't seen much of it this year.
All right. Let's move on.
You don't want to talk about injuries?
Oh yeah. Let's move on to the injuries. It's like I was saying, stop interrupting me. These injuries are pretty much all on your side of this matchup, unfortunately.
Oh, wonderful.
David Njoku, as you alluded to earlier, hurt his knee, left the game. I don't believe he came back in at any point, did he?
He did briefly for a couple plays, then he went out
Yeah.
permanently.
Yeah. So the end result was
Tried to play through it.
another 7 catches for Fannin. We'll keep an eye on Njoku. I'm not sure if they've said any updates if he's going to miss time or not.
Yeah, he will. It's a hyperextended knee, so
Oh, okay.
I would expect that he misses at least a couple of weeks. And I know they have their bye coming up in week 9, so it's potential that he doesn't play the next 2 weeks to give him
Yeah.
3 weeks off. But
That would make sense.
He's played through injuries in the past. He's a
Like when he
tough guy.
burned half
So
his face off.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they can actually keep him off the field for very long. But the bye coming up makes it more likely that he's going to miss the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, makes sense. We didn't mention Miles Sanders last week when we were discussing injuries, but he was on the injury report last week. He ended up going on season-ending IR, so I guess we should mention it now.
And he's no longer on my roster.
Is he cut? Oh, okay, there you go.
As
Didn't
soon as
know
he
you cut him.
as soon as he went on IR, goodbye, Miles Sanders.
All right.
He was only valuable as the handcuff to Javante, and now that he is not that anymore, I do not need to roster him.
All right. Let's go to the next one then. Garrett Wilson, hyperextended knee. They've already said he's going to miss time. He hasn't gone on IR yet, but they've said this is a multi-week injury.
Yeah, it's basically the same situation as Njoku. They have the next 2 weeks and then they're on bye, so probably going to miss the next 3 weeks, I would assume. Probably don't. If they think it's going to be longer than that, we can talk about IR, but I'm guessing it's probably going to be at least a 3-week absence, including the bye.
Well, it's great news for Flinch, who picked up Josh Reynolds.
Right. Is it great news?
Fire up your New York Jets backup receivers, obviously. That passing game needs a body to throw to. Man,
you
this
think
could get
they have
ugly.
to throw? You got to throw to somebody.
Do they?
But,
They haven't been lately.
when the entire passing offense is negative net yards, I don't know how fruitful that's going to be.
We have one other injury to discuss for your team here, and this one is, I don't even know how to talk about this one. Anthony Richardson broke an orbital bone. Shit, he broke an orbital bone in pregame warmups. I guess one of the bands he was training with or stretching with or whatever he was doing snapped and hit him in the face. I feel bad for him because honestly, like,
Oh,
it doesn't sound like he did anything wrong here, and he's got a broken bone in his face, which sounds terrible. But man, it's funny.
right. Yeah, they announced pregame that he was going to be inactive and was not going to be the backup quarterback. And you're thinking, okay, well, what happened? Is he getting traded?
Right.
Did he lose his backup job to Riley Leonard?
Does he
not
need
even
another break? Is he tired again? What?
they're not even going to make him active anymore. And it turns out, no, he fractured his face trying to warm up before the game when the machine he was using with the elastic resistance band snapped and the handle hit him in the face. So yeah, he's basically that waiter from The Simpsons that falls out the window and then into a dump truck full of mouse traps. That's just how it's been for Anthony Richardson, unfortunately. Just a just a comedy of errors.
It's bizarre.
We'll call him star-crossed.
Sure. Okay. Anything else in this matchup that you want to talk about or any of these injuries?
No, please, that's enough. No more injuries.
All right. Our next highest scoring team was my team. I put up a 233.09 and I played against Judd. Judd put up a 107.51. Judd was the 11th highest scoring team. Players over 30 points in this matchup, a couple on my side. JSN put up a 34.7 and Patrick Mahomes put up a 32.48. Couple of big games for Mahomes lately.
Yeah, finally seen the Mahomes ceiling, and he gets Rashee Rice back this week.
About time. My roster's been struggling. I was way behind you in scoring this week.
Still first overall in points.
For now. On Judd's side of things, a couple of players over the 20-point threshold. He had Kamani Vidal, who was apparently the backup to own, not Hassan Haskins.
Whoops.
And so Vidal at 23.8 and DK Metcalf with a 22 even.
It was interesting with Vidal because the first couple of drives, they were really splitting snaps. Haskins started and they were just kind of rotating evenly. And then Vidal broke like a 38-yard run. And from there on, it was his backfield the rest of the game. So they really went with the hot hand. I mean, this was a pure hot hand approach. We're wondering if that is going to buy Vidal more time and maybe they won't be as pressured to trade for another running back, or if it'll buy him more leash as a starter next week. I'll be interested to see how it shakes out from week to week.
Yeah. He had 18 carries, 124 yards. So the work that he got, he was good with. You have to imagine that at the very minimum gets him the first shot at it next week.
Right. Yeah, he was the hot hand. He established himself as the hot hand early. And I'm assuming he's going to get the start next week. And if he stays hot, he'll continue to get work. So we'll see what happens if he doesn't start as hot or if they bring in another running back.
Yep. All right. On my side of things, a couple other players over 20 points. Tyler Warren had a 24.3 and Justin Herbert with 20.51. Not a huge week for my team, but some good scores in there nonetheless.
Yeah, you and your 17 tight ends in the lineup.
The flex spot's just all tight ends every week. This week I had Warren and Gadsden were my starters, and then Ferguson, Barner, and Andrews in the flex spots.
And Barner, courtesy of a 61-yard reception, catch and run.
He's unstoppable. Feed him.
Except he didn't score, but
yeah. So it's interesting. The passing game of the Seahawks essentially runs through JSN. He had 12 of the 16 wide receiver targets this week. And
sorry, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. I mean, Kupp caught a touchdown. Like, he's the clear number 2, which
sorry, Torrey Horton.
Horton had 1 target this week, no catches.
Not a lot to go around when JSN's getting 80% of the target share.
So JSN had 162 yards. Barner had 71. Other receiving lines on Seattle this week. Cooper Kupp, 2 for 40. Zach Charbonnet, 1 for 13. Elijah Arroyo, 1 for 6. Ken Walker, 1 for 3.
Yeah, this is what we like to see in fantasy. A very narrow target tree,
Yep.
Target your stars and don't worry about all the rest of the bums that are on the roster. There's no reason to give your wide receiver 3 and 4 and 5 targets. Like there's no reason for that. Give it to your best player every time and good things will happen.
Pretty much, yeah.
This is what we've seen the Rams do for many years.
Yep. Stafford in general, even before the Rams.
Yep. But
The
I
good
guess
news for you.
not every team can get away with this.
No, no, that's very much true. The good news for you is that with the Njoku injury, it really opens up that trade for Arroyo to go to Cleveland, like I've been telling you about for weeks.
They already have Blake Whiteheart. They're fine.
Whiteheart spent most of last season on my roster. One interesting thing about this matchup, we've seen this a couple times from Judd's team. He had a 0 at his tight end 2 spot, unfortunately. And his super flex was 0.6 points from Roshan Johnson on the strength of 1 carry for 6 yards.
He had just enough players that appeared in an NFL game this week to fill out a roster,
Right.
except for tight end.
Yeah, he had no other point scores on his bench, even if
Well,
he
he
had
had a
been
negative
eligible.
points.
Yep, a couple of negative points from Raheem Mostert, who lost 4 yards on 5 carries. In his defense, they were, I think, 3 or 4 of those carries were on like the last drive of the game where they were just running the ball up the middle to run the clock, and
Right.
everyone in the stadium knew it was happening.
Those were kneel downs that they gave to Mostert instead.
Exactly. I don't know why they had Mostert in there to go get negative yards because, like,
They don't want to hurt Janty's yard per carry average. Trying to get
yeah,
him rookie of the
okay,
year. Trying to get him in the rookie of the year conversation. Got to worry about his numbers.
that could actually be the reason. I don't know. Oh yeah, and he had negative points from Cooper Rush, negative 1.12. Cooper Rush is bad.
He is very bad. He
I want an apology from Mel, who told me in the offseason that Cooper Rush was better than Tyrod Taylor.
yeah, I don't
Mel,
believe
you
that
owe
to
me an
be
apology
true.
for that. All right.
Okay.
One injury of note on my team, Puka Nakua got injured in the Rams game, came out and then came back in. But after he came back in, he was just doing some decoy duty. They announced it as a foot and or ankle. So
Yeah,
I'm not
it was
exactly
definitely an
sure.
ankle. It was
Huh?
definitely an ankle injury.
Yeah.
And he's another guy that they have a game this week in London, and then the next week they're on bye. So based on what happens when you're on long plane flights and things swelling, probably not gonna be able to play this week,
Yeah. Let's just
especially
let
with the bye
Puka
coming up.
stay home.
Right.
He doesn't
Don't
need to
even put him on
go.
the flight.
Yeah. He
Rest
doesn't
up,
need to go to London.
and then we can see the horrible how bad the Rams offense looked without Puka this week. They only scored 17 points against Baltimore, who has a
Right.
historically bad defense.
Right.
So now we're going to send that offense to London so we can get another 6-3 game.
Who are they playing this week?
Jacksonville.
Huh. That on paper, that's a good game. Okay, they changed. All right, they changed Puka's picture as well. It is LeBron James. Oh man, Sleeper, why do you do this?
Fix your broken app. Stop changing profile pictures.
Right,
Fix
there are
things that are
so
actually
many
broken.
problems with this app, and instead of spending time and effort fixing those, they've decided to do all this nonsense. Our next highest scoring team was Georgia Mike. Georgia Mike was our 4th highest scoring team, put up a 226.41. He beat Rug, who was our 6th highest scoring team, and put up a 197.88. This was a good matchup. These are two, likely playoff teams. Georgia Mike goes to 7-5. Rug continues to be over the median every single week and take a loss almost every single week. He goes to 8-4.
He is 6-0 against the median and 2-4 in head-to-head matchups.
Just incredible work by Rug.
He's getting all the hard parts of his schedule over with early. So the rest of the next couple months are going to be cruising for the Rug Doctor.
The Rug Doctor. We're not that one is not going to stick. Players over 30 points in this matchup, one on each side of it. On Georgia Mike's side, Drake London with a 37.3. On Rug's side, Josh Jacobs with a 33.75.
Yeah, and Drake London, this is what we're talking about, having a narrow target distribution. Drake London got all of the work. He
Yep.
was the passing offense for Atlanta. We saw that Mooney was ruled out early, and then Ray McLeod was a surprising healthy scratch, and they put other receivers out there, but they didn't throw to him. It
No,
was
they did
all
not.
Drake London, and it was successful.
Right. He looked good. Was it 10 catches on 16 targets,
Right.
158 yards and a touchdown. And that touchdown was a nice one too.
Yeah, he's a good player.
And we've seen Penix hyper target London a few times. The end of last year in specific, it happened. It doesn't happen every week, but when it does, it is quite effective.
Yeah, it works. Just do it all the time. What are you guys
Yeah,
doing? Stop.
they won the game too, so
Like, do they need to throw to David Sills or Casey Washington? No, just throw to Drake London every play. Unless they triple cover him, which no defense will ever do that. Like, just keep throwing to him.
yeah, the only other wide receiver with targets was Washington, who had 2 targets and 0 catches.
Right. Just don't waste targets on these guys that don't matter.
It was Drake London. Robinson had 6 targets or 6 catches on 8 targets. Kyle Pitts, 3 catches on 4 targets. Tyler Algier, 1 catch, 1 target. And then Washington, no catches on 2 targets. That's
There you
that's
go.
that's the list.
That's what you want to see. Give it to your best players as much as possible.
Yeah.
Don't worry about everybody else. There's no reason to get cute and target your fourth string tight end at the goal line. Just give it to your best players. Very simple.
They had won in the game, 24-14. They
Right,
beat
there you
they
go.
beat Buffalo. That's a quality win. Other players over 20 points. Let's start on Ruggs' side of the ball. He had a 29.49 from Drake May, 27.0 from Brian Thomas Jr., 22.9 from Wandale Robinson, and 22.64 from Jaden Daniels. Those are
How
some good
good is
quarterback scores.
how good is Drake May? How
Well,
good is Drake May?
he's doing this all with no running game. We were discussing this earlier. The Patriots running backs and their run blocking all rank absolutely dead last.
Oh yeah, Pro Football Focus put out their running back grades, and there's 55 qualified running backs. Antonio Gibson is 51. Ramondre Stevenson is 54, and Trevion Henderson is 55. So they basically have all of the worst running backs in the league.
So
And you say,
I'm
well,
not
maybe it's just the offensive line because the offensive line can't pass block or can't run block, but they are last in yards before contact and also last in yards after contact. So it is a
right.
combination of the line and the running backs. They
I was
can't
gonna
do
say
anything with the ball. They can't do anything after
we've seen Ramondre be good before. We've seen Gibson be good before. We haven't seen Henderson be good in at this level, but he was highly drafted and a well thought of prospect for a reason. This cannot be just all of them are suddenly terrible. It has to be, obviously the numbers for them are not good, but also it has to be partially on the line or the
Yeah,
scheme or something.
the line is not giving them much chance considering they're getting hit in the backfield more often than anyone except for Ashton Genty. And but their problem is they're not breaking any tackles and creating any yardage on their own after that either. So
No.
it's a bad combination. But Drake May somehow carrying this team on his back. Just he's really ascended in year two.
Yeah, he's looked fantastic and they're winning games. They're doing so, despite the lack of a run game, despite the fact that every receiver apparently is wearing the same number because I can't tell any of them apart when they're out there. Uh, he looks great. The pass game is clicking. The offense is doing well. Even their defense isn't like their defensive DVOA is not very good.
Yeah, they're not a good defense either. This is all
So,
Drake May.
right.
Drake May is the reason that they're 4-2 right now.
They're in first place somehow.
Right.
What the hell?
Single-handedly willing this team to victories.
Ruggs got to be thrilled with the way that May looks right now, though.
Yeah, I mean, he had Daniels last year playing like a MVP candidate as a rookie, and now he's got Drake May playing as an MVP candidate as a sophomore.
Yeah.
So really took care of that quarterback room in
In a hurry.
last year's draft. And
And
that's the reason he's the playoff team right now. I mean, this is the reason his
yeah,
team has been so good. He's drafted extremely well.
yes. And at the quarterback position, Bryce Young put up 20.96 points this week. So on his bench, because these other two guys were better, but that's still a very good week.
Yeah, it was a pretty efficient week from Bryce Young.
Well, when you go against the Dallas defense,
You're going to
which,
put up points.
yeah. All right. Speaking of quarterback performances, let's take a look at Georgia Mike's quarterback performances. He got a 24.48 from Danny Dimes, and it wasn't quite over that 20-point threshold, but still 19.63 from Caleb Williams. Over 20 points in this matchup for Georgia Mike. Kayshawn Booty catching all of those touchdowns from Drake May matched his points with 29.05. We mentioned Dimes and Caleb. Lad McConkey, 26.25, and Michael Mayer, 20.75, and Jameson Williams, 22.10. Pretty big weeks for Georgia Mike's team.
Yeah, we saw a couple of bounce back weeks. Lad McConkey finally had a big week with QJ out. The targets were a little more distributed between him and Aronde Gadsden Jr. on your team.
Yeah.
No QJ in the mix. JMO finally caught a touchdown. He's been very, very boom bust. And this week they kind of worked him in a little more in the intermediate area. So he ended up catching a little crosser and taking that one in. So he had a spike week. And then Butte, yeah, we've seen him. He had a very good week one, and then he's kind of disappeared. They've been rotating wide receiver ones all season. We saw Diggs have a crazy spike week last week, and then Diggs kind of fall off this week. We've seen Henry have a couple of spike weeks, and now we've seen Butte have a couple of spike weeks. So
The only real flaw for Georgia Mike's team this week was the running back position. Bit of a down week for all his guys. ETN only 10 points. Chase Brown only 9 points. I think if you were him, you'd like to see a little bit more from that position.
yeah, and Charbonnet only had 5 points, and Krosky Merritt only had 6 points. So he's got running backs. They just kind of all didn't really hit this week, unfortunately. Chase Brown's been a season-long issue, but these
Mhm.
other guys probably going to see him bounce back.
And a little bit of the same story for Rugg. He had good weeks pretty much across the board, but the tight end position a little disappointing. 8.45 from Henry and 6.7 from Theo Johnson. Just, it's always tight end for everyone, but you'd like to see a little bit more.
Yeah, tight end's such a tough spot to fill. He's got some bodies, but yeah, he doesn't have the real consistent week to week guys that are going to be kind of high scoring lineup locks. Henry's been that on and off. This was a down week. We saw a lot of the production went Butte's way instead. But yeah, the other spots kind of been rotating depending on who scores touchdowns that week.
Right.
So this week nobody did, so he didn't get very many points.
We had a couple of injuries in this matchup as well, both on Rugg's side of things. One was Dontavian Wicks hurt his ankle and did not return. I have not seen an update on that one. Let me check the blurb on the player. Have you heard anything?
No.
Oh, we'll keep an eye on it. The other one, which has probably a little bit more fantasy implications for Rugg's team, is that Marvin Harrison Jr. left with a concussion.
Yeah, that was tough. He slammed the back of his head on the turf.
Right.
And again, concussions. He's going to go into the week questionable, and he's got to clear the protocol before the end of the week. We don't know if he's going to be able to do that or not. Nobody does. So, copy and paste. Same thing we say every time there's a concussion.
I gotta say, it must have been the spotter calling that one in or something for Harrison, or maybe he said it, but I watched it. It didn't look in real time all that bad. I mean, they showed the replay, like it looked bad him hitting his head, but it didn't look like he had any didn't get the fencing position that you sometimes see and didn't, lose the ball that you sometimes see. I didn't notice him. I didn't notice anything obvious right away. So glad that they caught it.
Yeah, it's concussion such a tough thing to
Right.
really diagnose anything that's happening internally with your brain. But the back of the head on the turf is one of the easiest ways to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so hard to brace yourself out of a lot of these positions that you're, contorting to catch the ball and, You
Right.
can't throw out an arm to defend yourself when you got a defender draped on you trying to strip the ball at the same time. And
Yep.
let's move on to our next matchup. Our next highest scoring team was Big's team. Big was the fifth highest scoring team. He put up a 202.94, and he beat Mr. Good News, who is back to his old ways, being the 12th highest scoring team at 85.89.
He picked a good week to have his floor week playing playing Mr. Good News in his 85 points.
Right. So this is a much lower score than we've seen from Big, I don't know, any time in the last year and a half, but he was still over the median by more than 10 points. And really, he was only playing the median this week because Mr. Good News doing he's still in the midst of his rebuild.
He scored 85 points.
Well, he had 2 zeros at running back. We'll get to that in a second, though. Uh, no players over 30 points this week, and on Mr. Good News' side of things, no players over 20 points. So let's give the list of guys on Big's team who made it over 20. We had Trey McBride with a 28.7. We had Christian McCaffrey with a 25.35. We had Jacoby Brissett with a 22.45. Sam Laporta with a 21.25. And Baker Mayfield somehow only put up 20.39. That dude is awesome.
Yeah. Speaking of MVP candidates,
Right.
Baker's on the short list.
I thought you meant Brissett.
Only in our hearts.
Is it? Is it there?
No.
All right. So a good week from a lot of these guys, but no huge boom weeks and a couple of lower scores populating, the wide receiver and flex spots for Big's team.
Yeah, it's just a down week overall. He's kind of struggling through a lot of injuries right now, and he
A lot of injuries.
picked up a couple more this week, unfortunately. He's got a very deep team, but yeah, it's being tested right now.
Yeah. The good news for him is that most of these injuries do not appear to be season-long injuries, but also, how many guys can you go without?
Right.
On Mr. Good News' side, good game from Matthew Golden. Nice to see him finally get on the board.
Yeah, he's strung a couple of good weeks in a row now. He's kind of emerging, and now with Wicks out again. Early on, he was splitting time with Wicks, but he's kind of moved into his own role now. But one less target competitor with Wicks out of the way.
Yep.
I know that we may get Watson back soon. He's getting ready to open his 21-day practice window shortly here. But yeah, Golden's starting to emerge a little bit.
Yeah, we expected this to happen at some point, and it's, everybody gets impatient with rookie running backs and receivers, and, then halfway through the season, all of a sudden they're doing well, and it's, oh yeah, we like that guy.
This is what they drafted him to do.
Right. For Big's team, like we said, solid production on most of this, but his two starting wide receivers were Jerry Jeudy with a 12.5 and Michael Wilson with a 10.4. You would expect better scores than that most weeks for him.
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of what Judy's been doing all year. Unfortunately, hasn't been great.
Yeah,
and this is way more than Wilson's been doing all year. So these are not his normal wide receiver one and wide receiver two candidates. But this is what he got this week. It was a kind of a down week for a lot of his guys.
Yeah. Did you see the Jeudy stat line? 5 catches on 13 targets, 43 yards, and 4 first downs.
This is what he's been doing all year. It's not been pretty.
43 yards on 13 targets.
Yeah, it's not great. He's not having a very good year.
No.
And it doesn't help. He's been playing with some questionable quarterbacks, but some of this is on him as well. He's been very inefficient.
Well, he did outscore Mr. Good News is Dylan Gabriel, quarterback one, with a 5.84.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
Dylan Gabriel is he's a work in progress. We'll see how this is gonna play going forward. But right now he's averaging about 4 yards an attempt. So It's good for the tight ends, not so good for the wide receivers.
No, not so much. Well, Jeudy at least did have a 25% target share. It's It's not like they're not trying to get him the ball.
Yeah, just not working on throws more than 10 yards downfield so
No.
far for Dylan Gabriel.
Well, it's early for Gabriel still. He's only in his that was his second start, third
Yeah.
maybe. Give him some time and let him settle in a little bit. We'll see what we actually have.
Yep. Well, they don't have much of a choice.
No.
They traded Joe Flacco away.
That they did. He had a good week this week for being
on the team
being
for
on
three
the team
days,
for 3 days before the game.
much to Mike Tomlin's chagrin. He was not happy with Browns GM Andrew Berry with him helping out a divisional opponent.
Honestly, that's such a dumb argument.
It is. It is.
The
Worry
Browns,
about your own. Worry about your own team. Worry about making your team better.
The Browns know what they are this year.
Right.
Like they know they're not doing. Like they don't care about Joe Flacco is not going to be still helping Cleveland when the Browns, whenever this happens, are an actual relevant playoff team.
Right.
So
the Browns job
by the Browns to say we don't care about helping the division opponent because we're not directly competing with them right now. You're like, yeah, it's your division right, but who cares?
Right.
Do what's
They're
best
not
for your team.
exactly. They're not worried about protecting the Steelers by helping them by not helping the Bengals. Like they don't care. They whoever gave them the biggest offer for Flacco was going to get him. Didn't matter what team it was.
That being said, I never want my team to ever trade with their division rivals. No, but you have to be pragmatic, and if you can get an advantage at the cost of one of your division rivals, you're doubly hurting them.
Right.
And you might be helping them in some other area, but I don't know. I don't have a problem with it.
Yeah, it's been a long-standing NFL philosophy where teams did not trade in division and stuff like that, and I never really understood it. But
have the courage of your convictions, and if you don't want the player and you don't think he's good, trade him to your division rivals and try and double up on it.
There you go.
The Tomlin thing is definitely the old school approach, which matches the Steelers and Tomlin. So I understand it, but
yeah.
All right. Couple of injuries in this one that we need to discuss. Calvin Ridley hurt his hamstring in the first quarter, did not return to the game. I have not seen a timeline on this yet, but it's not great.
Yeah, it didn't look great. And they're another team that, well, I mean, they got about 3 more games and then a bye. So it's possible that we don't see him for another month. I mean, it depends on how the hamstring looks. To be determined. There's no such thing as a 1 week hamstring injury. So if it's going to bleed into a couple of weeks, they may just be cautious and hold him out through the bye.
And Ridley hasn't been great this year. He had a decent week last week, but outside of that, I don't think he's been in the top 48, top 4 wide receiver a single time.
Yeah, it hasn't been a great year so far for anyone in Tennessee, and that is why they have a new coach.
Right. Yep, that's unfortunate. I don't like to see guys get fired, but I understand it.
Yeah, it was time, unfortunately. Probably should have been done in the offseason. Probably should not have given him another year, but they wanted to give him a chance with the new franchise quarterback, and it hasn't gone well.
No, it is not.
So he got fired and his dad resigned.
Oh, did his dad? I was gonna look up I didn't even see who they named as interim.
Oh, you didn't see who they named?
I did not.
Old friend Mike McCoy.
Really?
Yeah, former Chargers head coach.
Okay.
Mike McCoy.
All right.
I mean, he's really the only one on the staff that has experience, and he's not already a coordinator, so it kind of makes sense to leave the other guys in their roles.
You can leave the guys in place.
Promote him.
Yeah. All right. What role was he in there?
He was like a offensive consultant or something.
Sure,
I don't know.
right. He was on the staff in some ambiguous role.
He was on the staff as someone who has experience as a head coach.
Right.
And good luck. I've seen that play out in San Diego. So I'm guessing this interim is not going to turn into a permanent position, but you never know. New voice and all. Sometimes it sparks.
Okay, on Mr. Good News side of things, unfortunately, an injury to Emeka Egbuka, hamstring injury, left the game, didn't return. Is there anyone left on that team that started off the year as a starter for the receivers?
No, they are down their top 3 or 4 receivers now from the preseason. Yeah, top 4 because McMillan was in there as well. They're scraping the bottom of the of the barrel, as we saw this week between Tez Johnson and who was the other Johnson?
Cameron, Caleb,
Cameron Johnson. That's right. Cameron Johnson, all of like 5'9", 170, was playing X receiver for most of this game.
yeah.
Not your prototypical X receiver build.
Well, hey, they got it done. They they won. I,
Right, because Baker is amazing.
Baker, something.
They've already ruled out Godwin and Bucky for this upcoming Monday night's game. And I'm assuming Egbuka is not going to play because there's no such thing as a 1 week hamstring injury.
Yeah. Well,
So
Tez jo-
maybe we'll get Mike Evans back. There's a possibility that he could be back this week, but I'm guessing that we've got 2 weeks and then a bye. We're not going to see Egbuka for the next 3 weeks probably.
that sounds right. And again, we don't know. Hamstring injuries take how long they take, and that's one of those where the guy can feel good, and you don't know until you go 100%, and then he's right back out.
Right. Yeah, better safe than sorry. I mean, this guy's a rookie and he's been your most productive offensive player, so no reason to rush him out there and cause long-term damage. Looks like he's going to be a very important piece going forward. Yeah, bye weeks are definitely starting to come in play.
Did you see the clip of Tez Johnson on
When
the
he thought
bench?
the MVP chants were for him and
Yeah,
Sterling Shepard was clowning on him.
that was absolutely amazing.
He's like, "Why are they chanting for me? I ain't done nothing this year." It's
So
like, they weren't.
for anyone who didn't see that, Tez Johnson caught a touchdown from Baker. I think it was like a 45. It was a nice touchdown. It was a 45-yard touchdown. And the crowd starts chanting MVP for Baker. And Johnson goes back over to the bench. He's sitting next to Sterling Shepard after that. And he's like, why were they chanting MVP, man? I haven't done anything yet. And Shepard's like, that was for Baker. Like, that was legitimately just zero situational awareness, apparently. Like, it was innocent. Like, he wasn't trying to be like it was a good clip. It was amusing. If you haven't seen it, go look it up.
It was definitely a fun moment. There's some good vibes going on in Tampa Bay this year.
Yeah.
They're a fun team.
Okay, we have one last matchup to get to. That is between Flea and Flinch. Flea was our 7th highest scoring team this week. She put up a 184.55, and she beat Flinch, who was our 10th highest scoring team, at 117.56. This has been somewhat of a story for Flea Lady. She gets a win. She's close to the median, but she finishes just underneath it. Only one player over 30 points in this one. It was on Flea's side of things. Bijan Robinson, 37.8. Wow, is that dude good?
Yes, so good. He's currently averaging more yards from scrimmage than per game than anyone in history. He's slightly ahead of Priest Holmes from like 2001 when he had the greatest fantasy season of all time.
And I'm looking, the list also
he's
has
doing that right
Rico
now.
Dowdle on it. No, sorry.
If you extrapolate his 2 weeks over full season, then yes, Rico would also be on this list. But Bijan has done it all season.
Right. He's
Every
looked
week he does
incredible.
this.
And he's done
amazing.
it through the air some of the time and on the ground some. He had the 81-yard touchdown rush early on in the game yesterday.
So
It
good.
just looks great. It's why Flea's team is still kind of hanging around. She's 7-5 right now. And if it wasn't for Bijan being on this team, she'd have, I don't know, like 3 wins.
Yeah, between Bijan and John Taylor, these two running backs are carrying her roster week after week. That's the difference between her and the rest of the league that are all 2-10. The 8th through 12th place are either 2-10 or 0-12. The reason that Flea is 7-5 because she keeps beating up on all these teams by outscoring them with pretty much those 2 players.
Well, you think about it. Taylor, we haven't said it yet, but he had 25 points this week. So if you combine those 25 points from Taylor and those 37.8, it's 25.7. It's like if you combine these points from these two players and then take them off her roster, she and Flinch have almost the exact same score.
Right. Yeah, this has been the difference.
Yeah. No, these two players, she said they're foundational players for a team, and she's right. They're, really good.
Also, why she's refused to trade either of them.
I mean, I haven't even tried to trade for them. I don't have that kind of capital.
Probably smart.
Yeah. Anyway, other players over 20 points in this one. We mentioned Johnny Taylor with a 25.7. She also had Sam Darnold with a 21.75. Hollywood Brown with a 22.5.
We were just talking about how useless Hollywood Brown was. So, of course, he would
Exactly.
score 2 touchdowns.
Well,
we
she
talked
traded for him, and
we talked about him last week in the Joe Mixon trade. I'm like, who cares about Hollywood Brown? Well, there you go. 2 touchdowns, 22 points.
Four catches, 4 targets, 45 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 first downs on the other catches. It was a very efficient game for him.
Right.
On the other side of things for Flinch, no players over that 20-point threshold. Aaron Rodgers came very close with a 19.5.
Yeah, I mean, he's traded a lot of pieces away, and he didn't have a lot of depth to begin with. So this is going to be kind of a weekly occurrence, unfortunately. Or fortunately, because he does own his own first round pick. So
Yep,
he's
there you go.
just helping his own draft stock at this point.
I'm sure that's what he's looking for at this point. He wouldn't have unloaded the pieces that he did if he wasn't.
Yeah, the playoffs are already out of reach. So the only thing he can do to improve his roster now is get a better draft pick.
It's the same old story for Flea at tight end. She got a decent game from Tommy Tremble, 11.4 points on 4 catches, 39 yards. But tight end 2 was Mo Alley Cox with 3.85 on 1 catch for 16 yards. She's got a lot of bodies there, but it just doesn't translate a ton.
Yeah, she's got a lot of tight ends that play a lot of snaps but don't necessarily catch a lot of passes. And unfortunately, we're going to get into the injuries, but she lost the one guy who was regularly catching passes in Mike Gesicki.
There's no other big scores in this matchup, so let's go to that injury update. Mike Gesicki had a pec injury, left the game, did not return. I looked earlier. I didn't see an update on this. Do you know anything?
Yeah, they said he's going to miss some time. And the fact they ruled him out that quickly and said he's going to be out for a while that quickly means this may potentially be a season-ending injury if it's a tear. If it's just a strain, he's still probably going to miss a month. If it's a tear, obviously that's the end of the year for Mike Gesicki.
So we'll wait to get further news on that. But tough luck for Flea. I don't know. I don't know how invested she is in trying to, remain relevant this season. But if she is, then maybe it'll spur her to try and make some moves at the position.
Yeah, and we'll see how the Bengals tight end rotation shakes out now because they were really playing 4 to 5 tight ends. And now Gesicki's gone, and Tanner Hudson had a concussion. We didn't talk about him earlier, but he had a concussion as well, so he's also out. So they're down to Fant and Drew Sample, maybe some Cam Grandy. we'll we'll see what they're gonna do now. They like to rotate tight ends, so
Wasn't Fant injured as well?
he was back. He missed a couple weeks ago, but he was back in this game.
All right, fair enough. Other injuries in this one. On the other side of things for Flinch, I don't know if we discussed Kincaid last week, did we?
We didn't have any indication that he was going to miss any time.
Right. So
he practiced all week in a limited capacity, but with the bye coming next week, I think they just decided to hold him out just to be safe. Oblique injuries can be tricky and easy to re-aggravate. I think they erred on the side of caution.
Yep. It's probably the best, it's a team that has a long-term view, not a short-term view. They're going to be a playoff team. They want to make sure they have the guys healthy at the right time of year. Better to not risk further aggravation of the injury.
Yeah, because we saw how Kincaid really labored through injuries on the back half of the year last year, and he was not very effective playing through them. So, chance to get him an extra week off, I guess.
Also injured we did discuss last week, but we didn't know the extent of this one. Juwan Jennings apparently has every injury known to man. He has 5 broken ribs, high ankle sprain, a low ankle sprain, and I think you said there was other stuff too.
Well, he's already battled the calf injury and shoulder injury in the preseason and the early season.
Yeah.
He's just missing the partridge in a pear tree at this point.
Right. I this has been going through my head for a couple days now. It's like 5 broken ribs, high ankle sprain, low. Like, come on. It just fucking flows. It works.
Yeah, it's been a
I can't say
rough start. This this offense, I said it earlier, it's a meat grinder. I don't understand. They just chew through offensive players.
Oh my God. They can't keep anyone healthy right now. It's brutal.
Is it the scheme? Is it the training staff? What are they doing over there?
It's something. It's not just this year too. Like we see this almost every year with the Niners.
What are they doing in practice all week? Just Texas drills? That's it?
When the Niners are healthy, they go to the Super Bowl. When they're not, it looks like this. Okay. I think that wraps everything up for the matchups. Let's head over and take a look at our Dynasty Daddy percentage chance to miss the playoffs. Everyone already knows who's making the playoffs except for like the last spot.
We have one spot that's currently up for grabs.
All right. This is the same story that we've had for the last, I don't know, few weeks. We got percentage chance to make the playoffs. We got Big, Mel, my team, and your team all listed as 99% chance or greater to make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think we need to keep reviewing this every week.
Nope. So we're just gonna leave that unless it changes. Next, Rug has fallen. He's tumbled. He was at 92% last week. He's at 91% this week. Georgia Mike is at 82%, and the only other relevant team, Flea, is at 29%. So she's tied for record with Georgia Mike at 7-5. She's 1 game back of Rug, who is at 8-4.
Yeah, and the next team behind her in the standings is 2-10. So this gap between the haves and have-nots is a chasm.
Yeah.
The playoff race for most of the league has been over for weeks. Keep in mind, we are in week 6 right now. And the playoff race has been over for a month already.
Yep. Every other team, less than 1% chance. 3 of these teams with 2 wins, 2 of these teams with 0 wins. Who's going to get one first? Is it Good News or Judd? We will find out.
When they play each other, probably.
It could very well be.
Yeah, we need a new
week 7.
We need a new segment for the end of this show because we can can this playoff.
Yeah. Good. Oh, this is fantastic. Mr. Good News and Judd play each other this coming week 7.
There we go.
Well, we are leading the show next week with that matchup. Yeah,
It's probably going to be the closest matchup of the week.
Well, there are actually a couple of decent ones this week. We have my team. I'm playing against Big. We're the 2 highest scoring teams in the league this year, so that's an exciting one.
Chance for Big to take his first loss.
It could be a chance for him to solidify his hold on that top playoff spot.
Yeah, we'll give him a big lead for the number 1 seed if he can beat you this week. So that's actually a big matchup. Yeah.
So obviously I will be watching that one closely. I'm sure Big will be watching that one closely. I'm not sure anyone else cares. For other good ones this week, Mel plays against Flea. You know, Flea's team is hanging around. She's not an irrelevant matchup. This is an actual legitimate one that we need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, she's the only team that's currently not projected to be in the playoffs that can score enough points to get close to the median.
Exactly.
Everyone else has no chance of getting over, 120 points most weeks. So right. She's got a puncher's chance, as we like to say. And
the other one is you play against Georgia Mike. Well, that's another 2 playoff teams right there.
Yep. Potential playoff preview. So they're always fun. That means some of these bottom dwelling teams are going to get wins this week in head-to-head matchups.
Right. Criddle and Flinch go up against each other. Judd and Mr. Good News go up against each other, which obviously leaves our final one as Rug and JMC. But
At least we'll have some interesting matchups to talk about next week, the last
Right.
couple of weeks.
It'll be good to get some
Been a
playoff
little
teams
dry.
squaring off against each other. Nice to see.
Yep.
I think that about wraps it up. I can give you the first round bye right now. Big is
No.
listed at 61%. Mel's 56. I'm 50. You're 29.
No. It's week 6.
Yeah. All right. Next week we can talk about that after Big and I square off.
There we go.
Well, I think that about does it for this week. Hopefully we get back to some more trades this week. What do you think?
Yeah, we'll see. I would like to have something else to discuss. This week was pretty boring.
Like I said, we're going to lead off the show discussing Mr. Good News and Judd and see who gets the loss and who gets the win.
Yes, that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that matchup. Forget about you and Big. I want to see that matchup.
All right. Well, we will catch everybody next week. But until then,
See you in the league chat.